There is a big discussion on YouTube whether you should use a local LLM model and whether you should use a cloud model like Gemini or Cloud or the other ones like ChatGPT. I'm talking specifically about coding here, not any, I know, the generic use of the LLM models. Um, Obviously, there's pros and cons for each one of them, and I'll talk about, both, like, quickly kind of summarize the whole thing. Uh, you know, Local LLM models like Llama, Olama, or things like that, you're probably familiar with. I'll talk about the local LLMs first. The pros, number one, is total privacy. You're not sending over the entire your entire code base to these cloud models to get some response from it. It's everything is local. You can work offline. Nothing has to be sent over the internet. Number two is that there's no guardrails or censorship. Local models won't refuse to generate code because of a safety false positive, or there are things that uh, you know the guidelines tell them not to do. Everything is basically on your own machine. No, fear of whether a command or instruction is violating a policy or something like that. Local LLMs are cost effective in the long term because after the initial hardware investment, because you need to have a pretty good, decent hardware to be able to run these machines, to run these models on your laptop or desktop. Basically, you have unlimited tokens for free, no monthly subscription, nor API cost or anything like that. So basically, after you have your own hardware setup, you can run it forever. And it's low latency. If you have a beefy GPU, the vibe of local autocomplete, using tools like Olama or Tabi is much, much snappier than waiting for a round trip to a server. I mean, that's given. I don't know how, I mean, I haven't had any issue with latency, but you could argue that it's an issue. In terms of cons of using a local LLM model, it's the hardware barrier. To run a model that competes with Claude or Gemini, you need at least 24 gigabytes of RAM, like an RTX 3090, 4090, or a high-end Mac Studio. Okay, so you can't just using on a run it on one of these basic laptops or something. Basically, the next one is maintenance. You are the DevOps guy, so you have to handle updates, quantization, context window management. All of this is up to you as the user. The third con is the lower intelligence, if you will. And what does that mean? It's, I guess, the best local coding models usually trail slightly behind the absolute top tier cloud models, like in complex logic. Um, I mean, that's kind of expected because um, the local model is expected to be small to be handled locally, and obviously cloud models have the higher capability, they have more resources, so you expect them to be a little bit more intelligence, if you will. So let's get to the cloud models. The pros, number one, is you have a massive context window. For instance, let's talk about Gemini 1.5. I think the latest one is 3.1 that just came out today. With Gemini 1.5 Pros, it has a 20 million window, 20 million token window that allows you to upload an entire repository. So that's pretty huge. You can ask, where is the bug in my Swift navigation logic across 50 files at once? So you can just ask it to look at your entire GitHub repo and find out what's wrong with it. It has a superior logic. That's number two. These models excel at reasoning, uh, architecture, complex systems, or refactoring messy code base that local models might struggle with. Again, that's also because the huge resources available to these models, especially with Gemini, because they have everything. They have the entire stack right now belongs to the Gemini, from the data, the hardware, the TPUs, and all of it right now. Gemini is excelling at. Even though Cloud Sonnet 4.6 is not really that much different in terms of its capabilities. Number three is zero setup. I mean, it just works. You get the latest updates and the fastest speeds without worrying about your fan noise or electricity bill, etc. So that's pretty given. Its cons is, you have data sovereignty issue. You're sending your intellectual property to a third party that you might not trust, to be honest with you. You just send it over because you have no other choice. While most enterprise tiers promise not to train on your data, it is still a risk. They might get hacked, they might get compromised. All of this could happen. And they might, to be honest with you, they might still use your data anyways. There is an ongoing cost. Subscriptions and API usage can add up quickly, especially if you're hitting the tokens hard while debugging. The last cons that I wanted to mention here is the downtime and rate limits. You are at the mercy of the providers, servers, and usage caps. So if they're down, you have no other choice. There's one thing I wanted to add personally, and that is, when you are traveling, some locations might not, especially if you're outside the US. And I've had this issue when I was traveling, and some of the locations I was at, Gemini would deny service to me. So, it's something that you have to consider. So it's not too bad to have a local LLM model on your laptop. So when you're traveling and you run into one of these issues, it shouldn't be a problem. And, when you have an app, uh, you know, if you have an app that is calling the API, and the API key could also be, compromised. I mean, in either case, whether it's local LLM model or cloud LLM model. So there is a hybrid strategy that, some people propose, and it's kind of, some people find success in using both. So having a local model installed locally on your laptop for day-to-day autocomplete in VS Code, for instance, would be one of the use cases of the local. I mean, it's probably not going to cost you a lot of RAM usage or something. And for the cloud models, you basically, when you're stuck on a complex architecture problems or need to analyze a large folder or of legacy code, then you turn into the cloud models like Gemini or Claude, Sonnet 4.6, the latest ones. So maybe a hybrid approach would be good for you, and I would recommend that. So be prepared and take care. This is Hadi Ataei. I'll see you in the next video.